Are Donald Trump and Elon Musk really friends again? That was the question being asked after Charlie Kirk's memorial, in which we could see Donald Trump and Elon Musk having what seemed like a pleasant conversation. But to me, it's not the most important question. The most important question is why would they want to be friends again after such a public breakup? Well, for Elon, it's obvious it's the business interest. He wants to continue his corruption. And we just saw his Grok AI win a big contract with the government. So what's in it for Trump? Well, of course he wants to silence the man who started his Epstein scandal and has brought the most attention to it. But clearly that has not worked. Because once again, Elon has blown up the Epstein scandal as a new revelation comes out that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you have not already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now before we get into how Elon is responsible for once again blowing up the Epstein scandal with new documents coming out, I wanna start with the latest on the petition to make all the Epstein files public. The discharge petition that Lawrence O'Donnell gave us an update on right here.
After that U.S. attorney refused to try to bring charges against James Comey, Donald Trump replaced that U.S. attorney with a woman who has never tried a case of any kind in federal court and has never been a prosecutor, but did serve as one of the lowest ranking members of Donald Trump's criminal defense team. Donald Trump's attempt to illegitimately use federal power, including federal prosecutorial power, literally knows no bounds in either direction. There's no rule too small for Donald Trump to break and no rule too big for Donald Trump to break. And as you just heard today, Donald Trump had a statue of him and his pal Jeffrey Epstein removed from the National Mall, where the statue had a permit to appear this week until Sunday at 8 p.m. The National Park Service removed the statue this morning, as they said, due to it not being in compliance with the permit. But the National Park Service refuses to say how the statue was not in compliance. It's a 12-foot tall statue, as you just saw, bronze painted statue of Donald Trump and the man who said he was Donald Trump's closest friend for 10 years, the sex trafficker and raper of children, Jeffrey Epstein, who Donald Trump said was a terrific guy. The two men are holding hands in the statue and smiling at each other. That statue made Donald Trump the first president in history to have a statue of himself placed in Washington during his presidency. The National Park Service possibly violating its own permit rules to take down the statue is the least, as we said, of Donald Trump's abuses of presidential power. Last night, in a special election, voters in Arizona gave our first guest tonight one more member of the Democratic team in the House of Representatives. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries will be joined on the House floor by Democrat Adelita Grijalva, who won a special election for the House seat held by her father, Congressman Raul Grijalva, until his death in March of this year. That means one more signature for the discharge petition that can force a vote in the House of Representatives to release the Epstein files. Semaphore reports that Republican Congressman Thomas Massie is, quote, declaring victory on his move to force a vote on releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files after the election to fill a vacant Arizona House seat. And he says House Speaker Mike Johnson and some of the powers that be in D.C. are in full panic right now about it. They came back and tried to get the four of us to take our names off the petition, Massie told Semaphore after an event in his northern Kentucky district. They asked some of my colleagues who are co-signers, and they actually threatened them politically, not physically. Massie said if Johnson uses parliamentary tactics to evade a vote, that there's enough notoriety on this issue that people will know that he's sweeping this under the rug. He also said if there is language included in a bill to sideline the petition, those who vote for that bill are part of the cover-up. And the reviews are in for Donald Trump's deranged speech to the United Nations yesterday. Deranged was the word chosen by the British newspaper, the Daily Mirror, which also called Donald Trump the world's most powerful man baby.
Donald Trump is terrified. The clock continues to tick. He cannot distract. He indicted James Comey not only because he wants to expand his authoritarian project, but because Donald Trump knows that he needs to be able to intimidate and keep people from talking. He wants to root out anyone who is not a loyalist. We have seen Republicans respond to this indictment by saying that anyone who questioned it at the FBI, at the Doge, anywhere in Trump's government should lose their job. These are all loyalty tests, and we see the same with Epstein, a loyalty test that Elon Musk failed. And the reasons why might be becoming a little clear because the House Oversight Dems have newly released documents from Epstein's estate that, link Elon to some pretty sketchy shit. New documents from Epstein's estate detailing his daily schedule. They show meetings with Steve Bannon, Peter Thiel, and a potential visit to Epstein's island from Elon Musk. Prince Andrew is listed as a passenger on Epstein's jet. Doge must release the files now, as you can see right here on Saturday, December 2, 2014. It says reminder Elon Musk to Iceland December 6. Is this still happening? Now, Elon has, of course, denied any real relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And there's nothing that we can see so far to suggest that he actually did go to Epstein's island. But boy, is that pretty fucking damning. And it just goes to show what Donald Trump is after right now in covering up the Epstein files. It's not just about him. We have to keep that in mind. Donald Trump is not just worried about what these documents might reveal about him, but the more co-conspirator, the more associates that we can connect Trump back to in his relationship with Epstein, the more people we have who can talk. The reason that the House Oversight damns these documents is because they are going straight to the Epstein estate. There is no obstacle that Donald Trump can put in place of that effort. It is how they got Jeffrey Epstein's birthday book with Donald Trump's letter to Epstein. That is how they continue to extract more information. It is why Donald Trump is so worried about more light coming out, being shined on these Epstein associates. And maybe clearly why he wants to get all body with Elon again. Now, I do not know if Elon was close with Epstein, was not close with Epstein, is hiding that relationship. But they clearly knew enough, and it just seems like it could be even more damaging to Donald Trump. There's so much to unpack here. There are so many different lenses we could take this down. But all we know 100% for certain, I said, Donald Trump does not want us talking about this. He wants to distract us with anything else. But we cannot just think or we cannot just react as if every story is an effort by Donald Trump to completely shift focus away from the Epstein file. Sure, there are moments when that is the case, talking about Barack Obama or the names of football teams. What he's doing with the Comey sure is a part of the broader authoritarian effort that helps him undermine anyone who wants to bring light to the Epstein files and bring justice to the victims. But I do think it's important to recognize that these things are important on their own. And Senator Timken broke that all down right here.
Since we talked, Jen, last week, Trump tweeted out essentially a challenge/threat to Pam Bondi saying, "You're not going after my political enemies enough." I think that was supposed to be a private message, and it went out to tens of millions of people, and he deleted it because it's the kind of thing that gets cases thrown out of court for malicious prosecution. So he put in a loyalist as interim Eastern District of Virginia U.S. attorney who has no Virginia experience, who has no prosecutorial experience, and clearly he's told her, you've got to go after my enemies. But I'll raise it up one level. If you've looked at our Attorney General Pam Bondi's statement tonight, her statement on the indictment says, we've indicted for the following reasons. And then the last line is, we will follow the facts in this case. Did Pam Bondi go to law school? You follow the facts before you indict someone for a crime. You do not indict them and say, well, now we got to go look for some facts. Her statement shows this thing is a complete political hatchet job. And I think it's going to blow up in the Trump administration's face, because having practiced law in the Eastern District of Virginia for 17 years, I don't see any of the judges in this district dignifying this political persecution in any way.
Andrew, I was just talking to Andrew Weissman about how Comey, and Comey also posted on Instagram and said, like, let's go to trial. Andrew said he could have a trial within 30 days, or that's his right, as I understand it. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. What does that look like? You said the rule of law should prevail. It doesn't feel like they have much of a case here that they've outlined. What does it look like if the rule of law prevails here?
Well, it looks like there's, motions to dismiss the case for malicious prosecution. There may be some motion to dismiss it on the grounds that the U.S. attorney who is pursuing this is not lawfully in place. There's a statute that says when there's a vacancy, the DOJ can put an interim prosecutor in for 120 days. That 120 days had passed. And after 120 days, only the district court judges in a district can approve somebody to be the U.S. attorney. An article in the National Review, hardly a liberal publication earlier this week, said you can't put a new interim in to do your bidding once the 120-day period is passed. So I think the Comey attorneys have an awful lot of grounds to get this thing thrown out. Look, I've had major differences in the past with Jim Comey that I don't want to really get into, but the guy's entitled to the rule of law. He's entitled to fairness. He's entitled not to be victimized by a clearly trumped up political persecution. And so I'm going to do everything I can as the senator for this state.
Donald Trump wants you to think that he is invitable. And I continue to say this on the show because I think it is such an important mindset to break out of. In the beginning of Donald Trump's administration, he was lauding himself as the most popular incumbent in history, that he won a sweeping mandate, that the culture had fundamentally shifted. A lot of people went along with that idea wrongfully. So it was a poor political calculation at best to describe it that way. And at worst, it was fucking stupid. Why were you going along with Donald Trump's plan? What made you think you could trust this guy that it would be different? Oh, it's Trump 2.0. It does not mean it's better, it means it's worse. They drew up their plans. They called it Project 2025. Did you not pay attention? Well, you did. Some Democrats in Congress did not. And that's why it's taken us so long to get to the place where we are, where we have seen wins in fighting back. But we have seen those wins, and that's why we have to continue to fight and not just see ground pre-capitulate, stand up, use our voices. If we can put Jimmy Kimmel back on the air, we can get the Epstein files public one step at a time. Let's keep on fighting. We are doing it on this show. If we can put Jimmy Kimmel back on air, we can get the Epstein files public one step at a time. Let's keep on fighting. We are doing it on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.